Hello everyone, a warm welcome from the beautiful hills of Meghalaya. I am Dr. Nomi Nonglan. So welcome to today's session of Continuing Professional Development, and today I will be talking on the topic Igniting the Young Enthusiastic Minds, Creative and Effective Teaching Strategies in Rural Settings. Now, if you're a teacher in a rural area, you're probably no stranger to the unique challenges we face. You're passionate about your students, but sometimes it feels like lack of tech. Things like high-speed internet or fun online games like Kahoot can be a real roadblock. I understand this problem. That's exactly why we're here today. Let's be honest. We all know the struggle as teachers, that feeling when you want to use a cool digital tool, but the internet just won't cooperate or there is no electricity. But here's the thing that I learned over the years, that true teaching magic doesn't come from fancy gadgets. It comes from creativity, genuine connection, and really understanding the world your students live in. So for now, let's forget the fancy tech for a bit. We're going to explore some low-tech, high-impact teaching and creative strategies that will not only light up your classroom, but also build a genuine love for learning right here in our communities. We'll talk about using what's around us, getting students to teach each other, and making lessons feel like a game, all without a single gadget or Wi-Fi. So the first thing is the power of the local environment. We're so blessed with it, so blessed with beautiful surroundings and a lot of open spaces. Nature has always been my personal favorite. So don't you realize that it's a blessing to have the incredible classroom right outside your door? I always feel that rural areas are like giant natural textbooks. So here are a few practical tips that you can implement while planning a lesson. So the first one is nature walks. Have you ever thought that a simple walk can become an amazing science class? You can point out local plants, talk about life cycles, or observe the different insects that are already there in the environment. It's all right there for the students to observe, explore, and learn. And another thing, using natural material for the basics of mathematics. Always strategize by using what you have. Maybe stones, twigs, leaves, or even the layout of a nearby farm can become tools for basic mathematics. So therefore, counting, measuring, and learning geometric shapes can be made more interesting and more application-based, which is very important today. Stories by students. So invite students to be storytellers. By encouraging them to share local folk tales or family histories, it'll build their confidence in communication. It's also a powerful way to develop language skills and foster a sense of pride in one's cultural heritage. Another point is using nature's supplies for an artistic palette. Purchasing expensive art supplies can be problematic in a very remote setting, but never give up. You can always use mud, leaves, and twigs for art projects. If there's clay, they can make small pots, cups, and saucers. It's hands-on, creative, and connects them directly to their surroundings and the natural world. So another point is bridging the gap. Yes, there's a gap between a high-tech classroom and one that is set in a remote area. But remember, dear teachers, the key point is to bridge the gap. Therefore, you can link these outside lessons to your curriculum. How can a bird's migration pattern lead to a poetry lesson, for example? Or how can measuring a field help with understanding fractions? So it's about joining the dots and creating these connections, or those connections, as you can say. Now, collaborative learning and peer teaching. I have struggled in the past with lack of resources too, so kindly remember that when you don't have a ton of resources, your students become your greatest resource. I found that getting them to work together and each teach each other is a game changer. They become like spokes in a wheel that work together for their own progress. They can learn to work as a team and to communicate. So here are some of the practical tips. First, think, pair, share. This is a classic strategy for a reason, which was used by my own teachers in school. Ask a question and pause. Give them a moment to think or let them chat with a partner and then share with the class. This strategy breaks the boredom of only becoming passive listeners. They become active listeners by listening to their peers. They think critically and share their ideas. So simple indeed, yet so effective. And another point, peer teaching. Split a big topic into smaller pieces. Either give each group one piece to become experts on, or make them pick a piece of paper with a question in it, then have them teach their part to the rest of the class. They'll be engaged and responsible for their own learning. So in this manner, the whole class gets involved and at the same time makes them think critically. Then team up. Pair up a student who's strong in a subject with one who needs a little help. It's a win-win situation. The stronger student reinforces their own knowledge and the other gets personalized support. So by collaborating and working together, the students will lend a helping hand to the other who may be weak in studies or is a slow learner. So the next point is DIY projects or do it yourself. At this point, I would like to say forget fancy softwares and digital teaching. Encourage projects where students can create things like posters, skits, or models using what's available. So the process is what matters most, which would ultimately lead to a good learning experience. And then yes, debate club. Organize fun, low-pressure debates on topics that matter to them. It builds critical thinking and helps them articulate their ideas clearly. And you can have other clubs, like organizing clubs. So the existence of various clubs will cater to a student's likes. Therefore, creation of multiple clubs can be engaging and help the students to grow. Some of the clubs that you may ask the student to join in are Math Olympic Club, Art and Sketching Club, Chess Club, Music Club, Reading and Book Club, or even Gardening Club, or even a Hiking Club. All these clubs will help in the overall development of the student. Now, gamification without the games. Who needs Kahoot, Quizlet when you have creativity? You can bring the same energy, friendly competition, and fun feedback into your classroom with a little imagination. First, you can use the quiz board. A simple chalkboard or a piece of cardboard can become a quiz board. Split the class into teams, ask questions and keep score. It gets everyone excited. Then another point is the DIY spinners and dice. Make your own spinners or dice with different categories or actions. It adds a little bit of randomness and a whole lot of fun to review sessions. Then another game which they can play is Two Truths and a Lie. This one is great. Have students come with two true statements and one false one about the topic. The classmates have to guess the lie. So it's a very great way to check for understanding. They can also get involved in what is known as role-playing, so act it out. Role-playing is a fantastic way to make subjects like history or science come alive. Have them act out a historical event or a scientific process. Then reward systems. This is a simple reward system which works wonders. Think stickers, stamps, or even just extra time for a fun activity. It motivates them to participate and try their best. Storytelling and creative expression. In our communities, storytelling is an ancient art form which is deeply rooted in our culture. So let's bring that rich tradition right into the classroom to make learning memorable and truly engaging. So we can have a group of students called story weavers. So instead of just facts, tell a story to illustrate a concept, or this will become more interesting. So you can encourage your students to share their own stories too. It makes them feel seen and heard. Then creative writing. Give them a writing prompt that sparks their imagination and gets them thinking critically. Or show them a picture and ask them to imagine a story and narrate it to the class or to write it. Then draw it out. Sometimes drawing a picture or a comic strip is the best way for a student to show they understand something. And you encourage this kind of visual expression too. Then you can also sing it loud, like use songs and rhymes to teach new words, grammar rules, which can be very tedious sometimes, or even math facts. So it's a fun way to help them remember things. Puppet shows. Now, simple puppet shows are a fantastic way to bring stories to life. They can be a creative way for students to retell a story or explain a complex idea to their peers. So you can ask them to make their own puppets with any sort of waste material that they can recycle. So thereby you save the environment too. Now, making learning relevant and contextual. How do you do this? So the best learning happens when it feels real. Connecting what they learn in the classroom to their everyday lives is the most powerful thing you can do. So real world connections. So what you do is you use examples from local farming, weaving, or community festivals to illustrate your lessons. Then you solve local problems. You challenge your students to think about real issues in the village so they can, brainstorm solutions. So it makes them feel like their voice and their ideas, it matter. So this is very important. Then bring in experts also. So do you have a skilled farmer, a talented artisan, or an elder with an incredible, with incredible stories in your community? So you invite them to share their knowledge with the class. Then you can also have what is known as local field trips, a trip to a nearby farm or the local market or even a community center can be a fantastic hands-on learning experience. Cultural connection. So you make sure your lessons reflect the culture, their traditions and local languages. It helps them feel a kind of a strong sense of belonging and value. So basically, I've just come to the end of the session, and I would just like to say that this may seem overwhelming. I know, it's not always easy, but your creativity and heart are the most valuable tools you have. So don't let a lack of internet connectivity make you feel limited. By embracing these simple, powerful strategies, you're not just teaching lessons to your students, you're building a vibrant, engaging learning environment where every child can truly shine. You're doing incredible, invaluable work for our community. So I salute you, my dear teachers. And so I would just like to say, what are your go-to or low-tech teaching strategies? I would love to hear them. So you can share your tips with us in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more ideas to help you in the classroom. And together we can light up the minds of the next generation. So one creative lesson at a time. Kublai Shibun. Thank you.